Hey, this is the World Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is a topic of how the Black community can develop. So for this video, I will explain in a simple and straightforward way how we can develop so we can live much better and more comfortable lives. So now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the first way the Black community can develop, the first way the Black community can develop is simply by ending the corruption in the Black community. Because the thing about the Black community, I have noticed a lot, whether it comes from African diaspora or direct in Africa and so on and so forth, is that there is a lot of corruption. And what I mean by corruption, I mean there's a lot of corruption that goes on in the community, okay? Now, obvious common sense would obviously indicate, well, what can the average person do to stop it? Well, the answer to that question simply comes down to the fact that the best way to stop the corruption in the Black community is for us to actually start holding people accountable for, for this type of stuff, okay? In other words, us Black people as a community start holding those Black people who do that type of stuff, accountable, whether it be a corrupt Black mayor, politician, somebody who works in a predominantly Black area, or an African leader, and so on and so forth. We could definitely figure out a way to do it, because we live in an age of media. Nowadays, you can just put up every and anything out there. So I am certain there's definitely a way we could do that. You could have people who look at this person's record, look at things, and then put it out there on social media. That's crook, which of course would obviously not shame them, making it more likely that as a result, no surprise that people will call them out on it, and of course, as a result of pressure from the public to give up their position, in some way, shape, or form, or if anything, just in general as a whole. That's the truth of the matter. That's common sense. So that's one of the first things we need to do if we really want the Black community to develop, and that is one of the first things I want to get across. The second thing I want to get across when it comes to how the Black community can develop is ending the bullshit. The bullshit, to be quite honest. I'll say the bullshit again, just to get it across, if anything, about this whole way of thinking that, if you're Black, it's either you do one of two things, music or sports. Because the truth of the matter is, as a Black community, let's just use, to make this easier, America as an example. There's 40 million Black people in America, okay? To be honest with you, okay? Music and sports is really two, or more specifically, literally the two hardest career fields to get into if you really want to be truly successful. It literally is, okay? It's very competitive. Most people fail, most people don't get anywhere, and so on and so forth. And that's the truth of the matter, to be quite honest with you, okay? It literally is, okay? And the truth of the matter is, even aside from that, common sense would indicate you have too many people only taking up two occupations in their life. And there's over 40 million something people, it's obviously common sense that that's going to cause a huge amount of oversaturation. Because pretty much every Black person who, has high hopes or just in general potential, yada, usually tends to pick one of those two particular fields of work. But the truth of the matter is, if you pick those two particular fields, it creates more competition, making it more likely that a bunch of people are not going to succeed. So in other words, if something's up, we need to start diversifying the skills we decide to do. Maybe it should be normal, or not maybe, it should be normal for Black people to have occupations like being a scientist, being a doctor, being an engineer, whatever. To sum it up in general, just diversify the skills you decide you want to do, okay? Instead of just deciding ultimately one is going to pick music or sports. That's stupid. And as a result, that's the reason why so many Black people are not able to find a job, because they only pick one of those two fields. And obviously it's very competitive and not everyone succeeds. And what happens is they put so much effort into something and they're not able to get to the level of success they go to the person, whether it could be things like carpentry, whether it could be even furniture business where they bring food up to you, or it could even be something where you just do like clean something cool. Black people are notorious for staying late all the fucking time when you actually have to hire. So that's one of the biggest things that absolutely needs to stop. Because that's just the world of fucking days. It hasn't stopped. Yes, I should be stopped. So that's one thing that needs to stop. The second thing, aside from that, that needs to stop when it comes to these bad business practices is overcharging for everything. Because a lot of black people do that all the time. They overcharge instead of selling at a reasonable price, which makes it more likely. And that's the truth of it. So that's the second one. And the third one to end this off as well is the lack of organization. Some of the black people do things and they're not organized. They're all over the place. They didn't put enough time and effort into being organized when it comes to doing something. They end up screwing things up and it's all over the place because they didn't put the time and effort into actually making sure that everything comes into place. And that's the truth of the matter. The lack of organization is a very real thing and it screws up a lot of things. So that's the truth of the matter. So those are the three things our community needs to start working on when it comes to the business part of things, at least when it comes to running a business. Because those things obviously get in the way and obviously leave us open for other communities of people to obviously use black people, of course, no surprise, as a way for them to make a profit. Because those Asians show up on time and other communities in general don't do any of those three things I mentioned that the black community tends to do for business. So anyway, to sum things up in general, to my whole video in general as a whole, those are the things the black community needs to do in order to become successful. If we could do those three main things as a whole, I can guarantee you we'll be doing a lot better as a whole as a community, so we don't have to worry about being miserable and discriminated against all the time and so on and so forth. And that is the honest truth if we really want to see success and do better in life in general as a whole. Okay, that is the truth. Those are the three main things. There's other things as well, but those are the three main things I can guarantee you that we need to work on if we really want to see the most amount of success. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say. If there's anything else to say, it would just simply be, I hope you enjoyed this video. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. And simply put it on my mouth. So bye.